My name is Emmanuel Mukama. I am the head of partnerships and capacity development at Trading, though I'm also an agribusiness specialist for the organization. And right now we are heading to one of our sericulture stations, and that is the Namasumbi Sericulture station, where we are doing silk production. It's basically the art and science of growing mulberry leaves and rearing silkworms to produce the silk, raw silk. Now this raw silk is further processed into fabric, the fabric that can now be used to make anything. But what is unique with silk is that it is the most luxurious fiber or fabric that is used for making clothes. As Uganda, if we are going to advance in agriculture, we need to focus on ventures that are more profitable. This is where the entire magic happens, where the story of sericulture begins. Without this plant, whatever process we're talking about cannot happen. Now, this is the mulberry plant. It is a perennial crop, and if planted and taken care of, it is bound to take over 25 to 30 years. Like you can see, you keep harvesting the leaves, then you prune it, and it grows and it establishes, it continues establishing. Now during establishment, all you need is a cut it, and when we are planting, we plant it while slanting upwards and keep perhaps 2 nodes up. Now those nodes are the ones that establish.
How long does it take to mature?
When you plant like this, it will take 6 months to 8 months to mature, depending on the agronomic practices that you carry out. If you ensure that there are no weeds, the mulberry will remain very healthy and it will be very okay. But where there are weeds, it suffocates like any other plant. Then of course the other things like spraying to make sure that it is free from pests and diseases, and then also intercropping sometimes doesn't do it good because the intercrop will compete with it for nutrients. This mulberry leaves you see is the one we also use for making mulberry tea. This mulberry leaf also has some anti-cancerous effects because it is also high in protein. It is very good for animal feed. If you give this as a supplement to goats, so it also has so many purposes, and there are farmers who have come to us who are doing the animal, for them they are not interested in the silk, they take it and it works out very well for them. So it has so many advantages, but it also bears berries used to process them to make wine, or we call it mulberry wine. But it can also be used for other juice, ordinary juice, and maybe you can even use it on bread. It has so many advantages.
And I want to this is my first time knowing about this. It's a very recent thing, and I was like, let me search about this, let me see who is doing this in Uganda. To my surprise, you guys are doing this. So just tell us what is going on here in this establishment.
First, we are at Namasumbi Sericulture Station. This is also our fiber center. That means it's going to be a collection center where all the kind of fiber, not only silk yarn, but also banana yarn and everything that we want to integrate. Now, when you come to this particular center, it's also going to be our egg production center. When we started in sericulture, we did of course, research, but we also did a baseline here in Uganda to find out, because sericulture had existed before. From 1992 is when we had the first establishment of a sericulture factory, and it happened in Mulberry, in Shema, the current Shema district. By then it was Bushenyi. But we started from Mulberry because that's where Uganda's story of silk started from. and all the little successes registered came from them. Uganda has been importing eggs from China, from Kenya, Isipe. This is the pupal stage of a silkworm, and by then the silkworm is seated here now during its pupal stage. Now when it goes into adulthood, it breaks through this cocoon and comes out as a moth that later matures to a butterfly. We spread in a clean area, controlled. It should be controlled locally. It's free from diseases, very clean, disinfected. Now this, you give them 3 to 5 days, they will be able to, but the moth comes out. Now when the moth comes out, the male will mate with the female, and when it does so, they will give you eggs. And this one moth alone can produce over 5,000 eggs. Like, yeah, you cannot count them, but of course we are able to establish using the modern technologies. So now when this breaks through, it comes in a mate, and within 9 to 12 days you have the eggs. Now what happens, you collect these eggs, treat them, and after you treat them, you store them. Right now, we store them in that fridge. These are now the eggs. We have stored them here. They need to be under refrigeration to stay away from any kind of warmth, because warmth in itself makes them to hatch, and that would happen prematurely and would lose all of them. So when it is under the refrigerator, they are able to stay safe, mature. So this cold room will be able to, after we've finished installing, we will be able to store as many eggs as possible to run an entire year or more than a year, depending on our production. When COVID came in, there were no direct planes and no movements. That affected our sericulture industry. After hatching, you now start feeding them with the mulberry. Now they grow within 5 stages, and these stages take about 28 days each. We have what we call a mulberry chopping machine. This is
the chopping machine?
Yes, this is an electric one. Yes, you feed in the leaves here, and then it will chop them into small pieces, and you can design it to whatever pieces you need. They will come through here. Now those are used for feeding the young silkworms.
So they only feed on mulberry?
Yeah, they only feed on mulberry. There is what we have here, the mulberry silkworms. They only feed on mulberry, nothing else.
How does silk come from a silkworm? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. The basic science is the mulberry leaf has protein. Now when the silkworm eats it, it converts the protein into fiber. Now when it reaches this pupal stage, where it has to form a cocoon around itself, it vomits or spits out this fiber by winding it around itself to form this cocoon. Now, when it forms this cocoon, this is what the gold that the farmer desires.
So this is the silk?
Yes, this is now the silk you are seeing. Now we only continue the process if you want to make the eggs. But if you want now the silk, of which the eggs, those are a few, and they are special breeds that we use for making now those eggs. But however now, we now need this cocoon. What she's doing is called deflossing. Flossing is, some of these cocoons are dirty. Now when they are dirty, you remove those. And these, the floss that I was telling you is able to act for other purposes. Use it in jackets and whatever. But the cocoon is what we want, and it's what we process at the end of it.
So what is the vision for this project?
The vision for this project is, one, Uganda to be one of the biggest producers of silk in the entire world. Uganda has a lot of land and which is idle, and when you look at the agriculture enterprises around, they are not profitable enough. This is a profitable venture that can help to change livelihoods of our people and to enable this country to at least get reasonable revenue You've seen how taxes are eating up our people on small things. Yet if we took this as a country, we brag about coffee, but I can tell you this could be bigger than coffee.
Are you guys exporting raw materials? Are you manufacturing silk clothes already here?
Primarily, our focus will be getting the quality silk yarn. Now, the highest grade is by the time they produce that silk, if it comes out, there is no single stain of anything to do with maybe that is the 6A. We will still go until we do the fabric. That is our dream. We let Ugandans put on silk. For example, the speaker is buying silk. If we were producing it here, she wouldn't be giving away that money.
How have you gotten approached by any of these brands so far?
Tropical Institute of Environmental Innovations, through our executive director, Dr. Clayton Masiga, was able to register Uganda to the International Sericulture Commission. Now, when you're in the International Sericulture Commission, you are able to sit with the big brands in the business. Now, they have established contacts. Some have even placed orders that we cannot handle right now because we are still building our capacity. We just need the boost to make sure that we are now producing the commercial volumes that are relevant or that are economically viable for us to start exporting.
Talking about the numbers, just to see if really people have to come into this business, how much is a gram if a person is to sell?
For now, when you talk in terms of cocoons, a kilogram of wet cocoons goes between 10,000 to 15,000 wet cocoons. Now, then I don't know anything which sells in the kilograms to that, but dry cocoons is between 25,000 to 30,000. Now, an acre of mulberry can be able to rear for you 4 boxes of silkworms. Now, out of each box, you are able to get about an average of 30 kilograms. So locally, if you sell the wet ones, that will perhaps be, if you are selling 15,000, depending on who is buying. So 30 times the 4, you have good quantities. Now what happens, the magic is that this is per month. So a farmer is supposed to, yes, every month, as long as you manage your gardens very well.
So the mulberry, you're not replanting?
You are not replanting, because the mulberry is planted. It's a perennial crop that if you manage well, will take you up to 25 to 30 years. And it will be in a good state to feed these silkworms. So you only need to do.
How long does it take for this mulberry to reach a stage at which it's consumable and it's going to keep on,
Only 6 months. When we add value to the silk yarn, the returns are much more. They multiply. What you are getting from cocoons will multiply by at least 4 times of what you would get when you add the value. So now when you get the silk yarn, which now for us we are focusing on, you are able to get the returns because the 6A quality which I'm talking about, a kilogram alone goes for up to $120.
But then a local farmer is not able to produce this silk yarn.
That's true.
So how do you convert it to silk yarn?
2.5 kilograms of these dry cocoons are able, good quality, to give you at least they're able to give you a kilogram of silk yarn. So
as we talked earlier on, you said if you boil this, we are creating the silk yarn by boiling this, and then we get about, you said how many meters?
A kilometer of thread.
A kilometer of thread, and that's the silk yarn.
That's the silk yarn. So it's the length. This silk yarn should be continuous, such that it is in a quality form, whereby it can make a good fabric. So hence, why we prevent the moth from coming out, it will discontinue because now here, that means the thread will keep breaking and it will not give you a uniform thread. Exactly. But now when you get a uniform thread, that's the quality that makes the good fabric that we all desire.
In just 28 days from process A to Z, you're able to harvest.
Exactly.
So that means year long you're making money.
And we're looking at shortening that process by first even hatching the silkworm eggs for the farmer. So the farmer takes them at stage 3, whereby he will only need to be with them for 14 days, and then he will harvest the money. And now if we had, like the partnership that we're having with the government, if it had continued, that's where we would be by now.
Okay, so what do we have here?
These are, we call them rearing supplies.
Okay.
Like I have seen, there are some other things that you need. We have the lime. The lime helps to reduce the moisture. It absorbs the moisture from the silkworm. And because the moisture makes it very uncomfortable for the silkworm. So we have the bleaching powder. This is the disinfectant. What we do is we apply and it's healthy. Then we have what we call a few medicines. These are Chinese. Like I said, the Chinese are ahead. They even have medicines. Sometimes the silkworms fall sick. So there are some medicines you can give them. There are other medicines which are more or less like appetizers. And then there are appetizers that you give to help the silkworm eat much more. Then there are other medicines that are just to help to form a good cocoon.
I can see here these are harvests, and just tell us a little bit about these.
These are rearing beds. Okay. Now, after managing the initial stages from the hatching room that I showed you on hatching frames, in stage 3, put them on these beds, and that's where we feed them from until we produce the cocoons. Wow. Now, during that is where they undergo the process called spinning. Spinning is when they transform from the larvae into the pupil. This is the pupil stage of the silkworm. And there we have what we call spinning frames. Now, within this spinning frame, each silkworm will colonize one of these holes, and perhaps,
so these you put for them.
You put on top of them when they reach that level. Now, when we harvest, we do the sorting and grading. We have produced so many. Most of them we take them to our factory where we process them. Our friends, the Chinese, when they remove the silk yarn, I mean the silkworm from inside here, they are able to. They eat the silkworm.
No way.
You see the way Ugandans eat insane.
Hey, that's how they eat the silkworm.
No, these guys enjoy they also. And even you, if you are in China, you may never know. You will eat it. They have it for breakfast and dessert.
But I'm sure we can even use the silkworm as food protein for like animals.
Yeah, for now we are using it as feeds.
Yeah.
For chicken especially.
So you're trying to tell me that there's potential that we are going to get millionaires in this business?
Yeah, absolutely, because as the space grows, or as people get more knowledge, they will realize that this is the best venture to invest in. Especially if you have a lot of money, why would you be squeezing someone in the Chikuvo to also sell clothes when you can make them? So this is where we are urging the Ugandans and Africans to try to think much bigger. For us, the simple steps that we are making can't move Uganda far, but if other people come in, which we are sure we will eventually inspire, including the government itself, to make sure that this is a serious venture to invest in.
So as a young person and looking at what you just told us, that everyone is looking at, going to Chikuvo, selling clothes, opening a little shop, what advice do you have for fellow young people out there?
We need to do a lot of creativity and innovativeness. We cannot, if you don't think, you will get what others have already thought, and it has a limitation. But when you think, your mind has no limitation. You are able to create much more value when you think out of the box than the usual. Now, if we look, and then patience, these are things which are not going to happen overnight. But I may sacrifice my 5 years. But when this works out, which I am sure it will, I can tell you, I will surpass someone who has been in the Chikuvo for years. So it's that kind of focus. Then another thing is teamwork. You cannot do anything alone, and you go far. You now need other people and to think. Then when you do that, it will be easier to innovate and focus on. Like you've seen, this entire value chain attracts every sector. So unlike the president who may say arts are not important, there is nothing which is not important. In this sector, you need everyone. and it is a sector which employs so many people. So the youth out there should dream and let them think, be creative and be innovative. The sky will not even be the limit.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you very much, and I hope that we shall be back here for the transformation that is yet to happen here, because as you can see, there's a lot of construction and of course putting things together to make a final setup of this place. I shall be back, of course, and we want to be here for the unveiling of the final, establishment.
Yeah, surely.